Can I turn a frown upside down? Find out what I'm talking about after these titles. Hey everybody, Anthony Dodge, the Model Train Outsider, the Mariclean Outsider here with another of my first impression videos. I've kind of officially given a name to all my little review videos, except they're not really reviews. I don't like doing reviews, but other people have already got a closer look, first look, etc. So I'm calling these first impressions from now on. And a very special one is occurring today, and as I'm speaking here, I don't know how this is going to turn out, so we'll find out together by the end of the video. But while I was in Germany, I bought this. It is my first ESU locomotive. And trying to make this story short, when I went into the shop in Freiburg, I told them I was looking for a 218 in the ocean blue and beige livery, which you saw me review a 218 in the previous first impression video. Well, I bought that one after I bought this. Well, the gentleman had one on a shelf, took it out, said it's an ESU, and walked away and said, yeah, it's 218, that's exactly what I want. And he says, okay. He says, this is our display model. We got one in a box up on the shelf, and he pointed to the box. And I said, great. And he says, do you want that? And I bought a couple of things and said, yeah, I want it. And he took it down and rang it up, and we set up mailing it home for me because I didn't want to carry it all over Germany. So they were going to mail it home for me, and I paid for that, which basically canceled out the savings from VAT. But be that as it may, it was a great shop. But I ran back into the store real quick and said, hey, let me take a picture of this. And I took a picture of it and posted it. And I was celebrating my new 218 finally, you know, and it was going to be my first ever ESU loco. Well, a friend of the channel looked at it and said, that's a 220. And I got defensive. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a 218. And no, looks like a 220. That really looks like a 220. And long story short, a few lines back and forth, I finally went and grabbed the picture and zoomed in. And it looks like it says 220, and I'm scratching my head. So I went and looked at the receipt, and the receipt said, yeah, it's a 220. In fact, it is. If I can put this up to you, you can see it is the ESU 31338, and then in the upper right-hand corner of the label, it says 220. It is, in fact, a Class 220 locomotive. So at this stage, I'm upset because I'm thinking, did they play me? Did they sucker me like they wanted to get rid of this, what have you? Because we clearly looked at a Model 218. You know, Joyce knows we looked at a 218. It clearly said 218. It looked like a 218. It had the little smokestacks and everything that I'm used to with a 218. And I really hemmed and hawed and was upset and was like, well, tomorrow I'm going to go back into the shop and cancel that order and say, hey, I wanted it. And Joyce actually just looked at me and she says, can you use a 220 on your layout? I said, well, technically it's not the right era, but they're still around. And, it, you know, she says, just keep it. Just keep it. Which is weird for Joyce to say, but I think she was just trying to make me feel better because I was kind of upset by it. So we decided I'll just keep it. And I then talked to both my friend Thomas Kessler, Jean Ricard, online, and they said, oh yeah, they're still running. You can use them, and you can use it with this consistent, with these trains and these cars you have. And I was like, okay, great, I'm going to keep it. I was still feeling a little, but once I got the other 218, I was like, okay, well, now I got a loco I didn't plan to buy. So I now have this Class 220, which looks a lot like my 218, and was not clever enough to even look in the box when I took the picture to go, wait a minute, that doesn't look quite the same, because they are very similar locomotives. But be that as it may, let's get this out of the box and see if my frown, when I first found out this was not what I thought it was, could be turned upside down and find out that I have a massively good and cool locomotive. So here is my V220 by ESU up on the track. It's in the ocean blue and beige livery, similar or identical to the 218 I reviewed in the previous video. And out of the box, I will say, first of all, it is very impressive in both design and functionality. Let's take a quick look at it. I've already loaded it into my Central Station 3, and it acted like an American decoder. In my Central Station 3, read it automatically, loaded it all in, all the functions. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to adjust anything. It's already loaded in. But let's look at some of the detail. First of all, it comes with a built-in driver, and then amazing 3D details through the windows. You get to look through the window and see all the piping in here. Excellent decals and paint job. Nice details all along. Some people like to see the axles and so forth. If we come up top, those grills are actual grills, although they are plastic. They are see-through and go through, although there's no lights for you to really see that. And up above, all those fans are working fans, and then it actually has functioning smoke out of the stacks there. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate that to you right now. But it comes with 32 functions on the decoder. And this is ESU, and for those of you who know ESU, I'm not going to tell you anything new. You know more than I do. But for those who, like me, are outsiders or new into a lot of this, ESU is currently somewhat unique in that their locomotives are made for AC and DC operation at the same time. There is a removable third rail pickup, and then there's a little button on the bottom of the loco which you press in for AC operation, you undo it for DC operation. You have to take off the ski, and you can run it on DC 2 rail, or you can run it on, for me, the 3 rail. It comes preset to run 3 rail. So to make it 2 rail, you have to do the work. And actually, I thought that was kind of cool. I expected it to be the opposite, set up for DC, and then you would have to do the extra work to make it ready for AC. So cheers on that. Again, 32 functions. I won't go through them all, but all kinds of light and sound and operating functions. That is quite an interesting horn. It even has a little light up console for the driver. If we can back that out and see that, that can turn on and off. So there are lots and lots of sound functions. I'm not going to go through them all. If you're interested in this, you can look them up. 32 light and sound functions, some of them multiple, many of them layered on some of the different access buttons, and many of them don't officially work unless it's in motion. But an impressive array. It's not the most functions I've had. The sound, I think, is brilliant, although I don't know what a 220 truly sounds like, but it definitely had a strong diesel sound. And some people are very fond of lock sound from ESU. Some people are not fans of it. All I know is it has a very good, strong sound here. So anyhow, I have, in fact, loaded this into the computer. I've oiled it up. So as always, I'm going to run this in half an hour each direction, and in an hour we will be back, a few seconds for you, and see how it handles running on my course. Last thing is, if I didn't mention it, this came in at 533 grams, making it one of my heaviest locomotives. This is a big boy. All right, it has been run in, and I will say one thing about running it in. Actually, I'll say more than one. First of all, it is amazingly quiet when the sound is off. Several times while I was sitting here watching YouTube videos while I was running this in, I had to look and see if it had stopped because you just did not hear it. It is a very quiet motor. Extremely quiet. Now, as I was running it in, it definitely seems to have a very low speed. I was a little worried that it was going to be similar to that Loco 218 I got, where it just never seems to get up to a good speed. But this one, if I cranked it up after it was run in, I cranked it up to about 90%. All of a sudden, it was definitely showing some speed. But its basic steps really show it to be a bit of a slow runner. And I don't know anything about the actual 220s to know if they are a low-speed locomotive. I'm trusting that ESU has this set up correctly. And you heard the massively loud diesel sound, as well as the little bit of squealing brakes there. So quite good. So anyhow, enough of that babble. Let's do what we're here to do next, which is let's run this locomotive up the incline and see if it can handle it. So we're going to turn the motor off, but leave the lights on. And let's start sending it up the incline. So again, this is about 50% speed. Actually, it is 50% speed. In some ways, since I haven't moved any trains since I filmed the previous one, this looks a lot like the previous video where I ran the 218 in the same livery. All right, so it's coming down that stretch. And it's getting ready to curve onto the long stretch here. Just a very slow, steady, smooth runner. Very quiet, very smooth. And it's about to come up to the incline now. Here it goes on the incline. Do we see any hesitation. No, no, it did not seem to have any stutter or hesitation as it started the incline. And because it's such a slow runner, it's hard to tell whether it's actually having any issue at all. My instinct here is to say it's not. It's just, I mean, when you see it level out at the station here, it clearly is running the same speed. Just slow and steady, I guess. So we're going to crank it up to 75% and see how it handles that. Obviously, when you crank something up faster, it should handle the incline even better because its momentum gets to it. So we're just going to run this through one more time. All right, it's coming around the curve again and coming up that incline. And again, we'll look for hesitation or even slow down. And it's about to hit the incline. There it is, up on the incline. And just smooth. No loss in torque, power, momentum, speed. It's a slow runner overall, but I'm assuming scale speed, it's actually very accurate. I just wish that it gave a kilometers or miles per hour rating as opposed to a percentage. Right, there it is. What are my first impressions of this ESU Class V220 locomotive from Deutsche Bahn Era 4, 1970s, 1980s, in the then classic ocean blue and beige livery? First impressions are very strong. I have heard some good and bad things about ESU, but the shop where I bought this from was adamant that ESU locomotives are extremely high quality. For the price you pay, they should be high quality. But seeing firsthand is believing. Weighty, slow and steady on the run. It doesn't, again, I have a few locos that give percentages, 10%, 20%, 30% maximum speed. Which I think this loco listed as 110 kilometers an hour. So it wouldn't be a fast runner. This is not a train designed for high-speed traffic. But definitely extremely smooth. The sound is too loud, but strong. I'm going to have to go in and adjust and turn the sound volume down because those are some very strong sounds coming out of it. Its preset, I think, was 192 on the setting. I think we need to move that down to about 125 and still maintain that strong diesel sound. But absolutely, again, it's weird because it's not my era, and I don't think it's the coolest livery out there, but it is a classic livery for Deutsche Bahn, and this is one that will be used rarely. I've got some special cars, and in fact I've been told by friends that some of these cars I picked up, wagons, for example these wagons here that were a gift from my friend Horace in Bamberg, that these would not be out of place. These wagons would not be out of place being pulled by that locomotive. I will look into it. I will Google images of the 220 in its heyday and see what it pulled. But first impressions are this is a very quality locomotive. The sound is good. The running is smooth. The motor is absolutely silent. And it handled the incline without issue. Now remember, as I'm going to say in all these videos, this is first impressions and it's not a review. I'm not telling you to go out and buy these. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just showing you this is my first impression of it out of the box, and having run it in and seen if it handles the incline on my table here. And it passed all those tests. But time is the only factor to determine grading a locomotive. What comes out of the box and looks sharp and runs sharp 6 months down the road after some usage may suddenly not run that great. So first impressions, this is a nice pickup, and I'm glad I kept it instead of sending it back. So until my next impression video, which may not be for a while, I'm going to say Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.